They were meant to disappear again and again across 5 centuries. The most powerful empires of their age set out to erase the Sikhs from history. Mughal emperors, Afghan invaders, colonial armies. They put a price on Sikh heads. They burned their towns and demolished the holiest shrines. Twice they attempted something close to total annihilation. And yet, today, the Sikhs are still here, 30 million strong on every continent on earth. This is the story of the flame that would not die. It began, as all of it did, with Guru Nanak. In an age of rigid caste and religious hatred, he taught something dangerous, that there is only one God and therefore one humanity, that a king and a beggar are equal, that a woman is the equal of any man. To the powerful, this was not just heresy, it was a threat, because the people who believe they are no one's slave are very hard to rule. For 100 years, the movement grew in peace. 10 gurus, one after another, building a community of equals. But peace would not last. In 1606, the Mughal emperor summoned the 5th guru, Guru Arjan, the man who had compiled the Sikh scripture and built a central shrine. He was ordered to change the holy word to bow to the empire. He refused. He was tortured for days, made to sit on burning hot plates while scalding sand was poured over him, and finally gave his life without a word of complaint. He was the first Sikh martyr. He would not be the last. His son, Guru Hargobind, drew a lesson the Sikhs would never forget. He took up 2 swords, one for the spirit and one for the sword arm, Miri and Piri. He built a throne of temporal authority facing the house of God, and he taught his people that to be holy was not to be helpless. The saint would now also be a soldier. He raised the Akal Takht, the throne of the Timeless One, the first seat of Sikh sovereignty, and from it, the community would answer to no emperor on earth. The Sikhs were becoming not only a faith, but a nation. 2 generations later, the empire tested that resolve again. A delegation of Kashmiri Hindus, facing forced conversion, came begging for help. And the 9th Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur, a Sikh, chose to stand for the faith of others. He traveled to Delhi and was publicly beheaded for defending the right of Hindus to remain Hindu. Stop and consider that. A man who gave his life, not for his own religion, but for someone else's freedom to worship. History has rarely seen its equal. His 9-year-old son watched his father sacrifice and grew into the 10th and final human guru, Guru Gobind Singh. And in 1699, he forged the Sikhs into something the world had never seen, the Khalsa, a brotherhood and sisterhood of saint soldiers, sworn to defend the weak, to never bow to tyranny, and to never hide. He gave them the name Singh, lion, and Kaur, sovereign. And then, in an act of breathtaking humility, he knelt and asked them to initiate him in turn, the master becoming one with his students. But the price of defiance was carved in blood. The empire came for Anandpur. In the battles that followed, Guru Gobind Singh lost everything: his fortress, his mother, and all 4 of his sons. The 2 elder boys fell in battle, sword in hand. The 2 younger ones, just 7 and 9 years old, were captured and ordered to convert or die. They refused. They were bricked alive inside a wall. Children who chose death over the betrayal of their faith. To this day, every Sikh remembers them. Their grandmother, Mata Gujri, died in captivity that same bitter winter. In the space of a few days, the Guru had given his entire family to the cause of freedom. When asked how he could bear such loss, he answered that all of humanity were his sons now. His grief turned outward became a love for everyone. And still, the flame did not die. After the Guru's passing, a warrior named Banda Singh Bahadur rose from the chaos. He led the peasants of Punjab in revolt, shattered the local Mughal power, and, for a brief, shining moment, established the first Sikh rule, striking coins in the name of the Gurus, and abolishing the cruel landlord system. He too was captured. He too was offered his life for his faith. He too refused and was tortured to death in Delhi, his courage unbroken to the end. What followed were the darkest decades of all. The empires declared open season on the Sikhs. To kill one was to be rewarded. To shelter one was to be destroyed. The Sikhs abandoned their homes and lived in the forests and deserts. In the saddle, a people hunted across their own land. Twice, invading armies caught them in the open and slaughtered them in their tens of thousands. The Sikhs gave these massacres an almost unbearable name. They called them the Galugaras, the Holocausts. And in their grimmest hour, they invented a kind of dark, defiant humor, refusing to so much as speak of fear. This too was Chardikala, the spirit that rises even here. You would think that would be the end. It was only the beginning. Out of the ashes, the Sikhs organized into war bands, the missiles, and slowly, region by region, took back their homeland. They called their combined force the Dal Khalsa, the army of the Khalsa. Riding out from the wilderness, they offered villages protection in return for loyalty, and one stronghold at a time. They bled the invaders dry. In 1765, they did the unthinkable and captured Lahore itself, the very seat of the power that had hunted them for generations. And from among them rose one of the most remarkable rulers in the history of the subcontinent, Ranjit Singh, the Lion of Punjab, blind in one eye, scarred by smallpox, unable to read. He united the warring Sikhs into a single, mighty kingdom, the Sikh Empire. And here is the part the world forgot. In an age of brutal sectarian rule, Ranjit Singh built something startlingly modern. His was a Sikh empire, but his ministers were Muslim and Hindu and European. He did not impose his religion on anyone. He banned the death penalty entirely. He recovered the legendary Kohinoor diamond and made Punjab a power that even the British dared not touch while he lived. For 40 years, Punjab was the last great independent kingdom in India, a golden age born from centuries of persecution. His army was among the most formidable in Asia, drilled by veterans of Napoleon's wars and armed with modern cannon cast in his own foundries. He took Multan, then Kashmir, then Peshawar, pushing the Sikh frontier all the way to the mouth of the Khyber Pass. And through it all, he never once placed a crown upon his head. He ruled in the name of the Khalsa, calling his government the Sakar Khalsa, the rule of the Guru's people. And he set the scripture, not himself, at the center of the state. But empires built on one great man rarely outlive him. When Ranjit Singh died in 1839, his court collapsed into intrigue. The British, who had waited patiently at the border, finally moved. In 2 ferocious wars, the Sikh army fought with a courage that stunned its enemies, but betrayed from within, it fell. In 1849, the Sikh empire was annexed. The Kohinoor was taken from a child king, Duleep Singh, the last Maharaja, and set into the British crown, where it remains to this day. The boy himself was sent into exile in England, taken from his faith, only to spend his final years aching to return to it. Conquered, but never broken, the Sikhs endured under colonial rule. In time, they fought back, not with swords, but with schools. A great reform movement, the Singh Sabha, swept through Punjab, founding colleges, printing the scriptures, and reawakening a generation to the teachings of the Gurus. A people who had survived the sword now refused to be quietly dissolved into someone else's empire. And when the great wars came, they answered. Though they were a tiny fraction of India's population, Sikhs served and died in staggering numbers in the trenches of the world wars, earning a reputation for valor that crossed the entire globe. And then came 1947. The partition of India tore Punjab, the Sikh homeland, directly in two. Nankana Sahib, the very birthplace of Guru Nanak, was lost across a new border overnight. In the violence that followed, hundreds of thousands died, and millions of Sikhs were driven from lands their families had farmed for centuries. It was one more attempt by history to scatter them to the wind. Instead, they scattered, and they took root everywhere. Today there are Sikhs in nearly every nation on earth, and wherever they go, they bring the same things: hard work, open kitchens, and a turban that refuses to be hidden. When floods come, when earthquakes strike, when a pandemic empties the streets, it is so often the Sikhs who arrive first, with food, asking nothing in return. A people who were hunted, now feeding the world. From bus drivers in England to farmers in California, from Vancouver to Nairobi to Singapore, they built gurdwaras wherever they settled and kept the doors open to all. Within a few generations, a hunted people of the Punjabi plains had become one of the most recognizable and most generous communities on the planet. So how did they survive? Greater empires have vanished completely. What kept this small community alive through martyrdom, genocide, conquest, and exile? It was never the swords, or the kingdoms, or the diamonds. Those all came and went. It was something quieter and far more durable. It was the daily remembrance, the Naam. In the forests while they were hunted, in the trenches, in the refugee camps, the Sikhs kept rising in the Amritvela, kept singing the same hymns, kept holding the one in their hearts. The empires came for everything they could see, but the flame was carried somewhere they could never reach. Inside. Think of what that means. Every empire in this story believed that power lived in armies, in fortresses, in crowns, and in diamonds. The Sikhs proved them all wrong. The most unconquerable thing in the world turned out to be a quiet mind, turned toward the one. You cannot behead a remembrance. You cannot exile a prayer. You cannot annex the Naam. That flame has now been passed, hand to hand, life to life, across 500 years of fire, all the way down to you. The question the Gurus would ask is simple. Now that it is in your hands, will you keep it lit? In a world designed to fracture your attention, that is harder than it sounds. The battles are quieter now, but the war for your mind is just as real. And this is the small modern reason SimranLock exists, to help you do the one thing your ancestors did through everything, to remember. Before the noise, a line of Gurbani. The Mool Mantra, a single breath of Waheguru, a daily flame kept alive, the way it always was, one remembrance at a time. They were meant to disappear, they did not, and the flame that would not die is now yours to carry. SimranLock. Turn every unlock into Simran. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.